Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. I just have a couple of quick updates before I'll take your questions. I've spent quite a bit of time the last 24 hours on the phone with administration officials. Spoke this morning with Dr. Fauci. It was great to visit with him about what's going on here on the ground in South Dakota, how we're dealing with the virus, the mitigation measures that we've put in place, and it was wonderful to hear him recognize and confirm that a one-size-fits-all approach does not work in every single state, and he appreciates our efforts in South Dakota to protect people and be aggressive in going forward in making sure that we're slowing down the spread and that we're bending the curve for our people. We talked about the science behind the virus, the facts as we see it, and he agrees that in South Dakota we're in a very good spot today and well prepared for that date into the future in June when we could see a peak in our infection rates. I know that there are some questions on the modeling that we've used in the past and how we have incorporated those together. I want you to know that we've used several different models from across the country to incorporate into our demographics, into what we're seeing on the ground, what we're seeing for those that are in the vulnerable population, and our sparsity and density factors in the state of South Dakota. As a reminder, we used all of those modeling projections for our population to put together the plan that I discussed with South Dakota last Friday. We were in agreement as a state, as a Department of Health, with Sanford, with Avera, and with Monument, that is the plan that we are preparing and incorporating for our projections into the future. Know that because of the mitigation efforts that we have put into place already, we've cut our infection rates in half at that peak point in June. So that has been good work by the people of South Dakota. The plan that we agreed to with our healthcare systems is work in preparation that we're doing every single day. We're standing up more hospital beds and capacity to deal with COVID-19 patients. We're also securing ventilators that could potentially be necessary at that point in time when we have peak infection rates in our state, and we're continuing to work on surge capacity, making sure that those hospitals are ready and that they have the equipment and the people and the staff that they need to meet the people's needs. Know that our cases have been updated for the day, and we do see our positive cases of COVID-19 in the state of South Dakota increasing. That is going to continue to happen. That has been expected. I have told you for weeks that our numbers will continue to increase. What is good news is that we're also seeing people recover and get better. The virus will continue to spread throughout the state of South Dakota, and that's why it's incredibly important that you continue to take the measures and the actions that I've asked you to take in the past. Please continue social distancing. Wash your hands. We're asking you to stay home. In Minnehaha and Lincoln County, we're telling those that are older than 65 and that have pre-existing health conditions. That's why it's incredibly important that you continue to take the measures and the actions that I've asked you to take in the past. Please continue social distancing. Wash your hands. We're asking you to stay home. In Minnehaha and Lincoln County, we're telling those that are older than 65 and that have pre-existing health conditions to stay home for the next 3 weeks. Those are all incredibly important. We are using every approach available today that will be effective to make sure that we're preparing for the future. And yesterday, remember, I took a moment just to thank a lot of South Dakotans who have been really stepping up the last several weeks during this tough situation. We've got many folks that are using their skills, their talents, and their gifts to help individuals in healthcare response. We thank those individuals that are supporting families who have already had loss of life during this point in time. Thank you to those that are donating to charities and serving, volunteering in areas of need. And thank you so much for every single person in the state who has taken it seriously as a personal agenda item to help us slow down the spread of this disease. That's one of the things that Dr. Fauci was so impressed with, was the people of South Dakota and how they've tackled this as a personal responsibility of their own to make sure that they were making the best decisions for their community going forward. We've got so many things that we have going for us here in our state, and we will get through this together. I know yesterday I asked you to help me look into the future to today as a day of prayer. I did an executive proclamation declaring in the state of South Dakota that this would be a day of prayer, recognizing that it is Holy Week, for Christians across our state, and the Jewish people in our state will begin to celebrate Passover this evening. I know that this year the Easter holiday is going to look a lot different for a lot of folks in our state. Traditionally, we get families together, big gatherings, we all go to church, we spend quality time. Some of those are just not going to be possible this Easter Sunday. I'm going to ask all of you to consider starting a new tradition that has meaning, and think about that today. And as you do focus on prayer on this day of prayer across our state, that you pray for an end to this pandemic, that you pray for success in fighting this virus and this disease. You pray for strength for all those who are working long hours to care for individuals, and comfort for those that have had loss. And I know going through this Holy Week and into Easter Sunday that we will be successful and that we will come through on the other end. With that, I will open it up to any questions that you may have.
Governor, on the models used projecting, I believe the surge is based upon 850,000 roughly population. Have you taken into account early August, obviously the Sturgis rally, a 10% attendance could bring as many as 50,000 or more to the Black Hills and taxes their system already. Is there any planning underway for the rally, and what would you say regarding?
There has not been planning for the rally, knowing that we would anticipate peaking in mid-June, that we could end up curving down and still have infection rates in the state come August, but dealing with those events as they come up. As you know, the last couple of months, we've had every single event almost in the state canceled. And so we take into account the models that are available to us, use information, and use our population factors to make sure that is applicable each and every day. And just know that every day we go forward, we're in a better position to make good decisions that are appropriate. We have more facts, we have more information, we learn more about the virus, and that gets us even better prepared for the future. Kelly?
Thank you, Governor. Our Keloland newsroom has received several calls from people who are concerned about the Smithfield plant in Sioux Falls. I'm wondering if you can confirm, is this one of the so-called hotspots, and what is the state doing to help keep people safe?
Well, the State Department of Health is working with the Sioux Falls Department of Health, with employers in the Sioux Falls area. We believe the employer is taking appropriate actions and protecting its employees and the public. I'll let the Secretary speak to specifics that she can share beyond that.
Thank you, Governor. So in our work with that particular employer, we've been working to understand how they're communicating with employees, how they are helping employees check symptoms, check for potential signs, helping folks go home if that's needed or stay home if they are ill. The employer is also working on different environmental strategies that can help with the spread of COVID-19. They're looking at making sure that the environment is clean and cleaned more often than would normally happen, as well as that employees have appropriate strategies in place to protect themselves. So we're very grateful for the employer's actions so far and our ability to work with them to minimize the spread of this disease there.
Can you say how many or if any COVID cases are connected to the facility?
There are a number of cases connected. That number has changed every day, and as of yesterday there were over 80 cases connected to individuals working there. We are able to do contact tracing with all of the positive cases, and so that work continues so that we can make sure that those people are taking appropriate precautions. And so at this point, we do not feel that there is a risk to folks outside of the individuals impacted.
Sorry to take up so much time. I just want to confirm, when you say connected, that means not necessarily just employees, but maybe people who are linked to those employees.
The number that I just cited are individuals that work at the employer.
Is there any questions on the phone line?
Yeah, this is Trevor Mitchell with the Argus Leader.
Yep, go ahead, Trevor.
I was wondering what guidance your administration has for employers who have employees that fall into your the vulnerable individuals category.
This is Kim Alsam-Reisden. So there is number of guidance sets out there from the CDC about what employers can do if they have individuals that are not feeling well. The number one thing is to have people go home, have people stay home if they are sick. With our work with employers across the state, I can't say enough how well they're doing with that. Employers in South Dakota are doing the right thing. They're paying their employees to stay home so that that's not a risk to those particular people, so that they can make the right choices. So does that answer the question that you had?
I believe so, yeah.
Thank you.
Governor, can you tell us how much of a hit your budget is going to take from the economic downturn that's resulted from all of this? And I guess part two of this question is, if the federal stimulus money, you expressed a concern that it might not be able to be used to fill the gap. If you can't use it for that, are you looking at tax increases or cuts or?
Well, I think it's premature to know today how we would fill budget holes, but what I can confirm for you is that our revenue into the state has been dramatically impacted. It has been substantial from the numbers that we've gotten so far. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of months under our belt yet, but this doesn't just impact the state budget. It impacts every single family and business out there. It will impact city budgets, county budgets, our ability to invest in infrastructure, to run agencies and departments. So it's pretty far-reaching. And I would say that what the impact is to the state budget is directly reflected by what kind of economic activity is happening across the state, and tells you how badly all of our businesses and employers are hurting as well, because they literally, as soon as this virus hit this country and the president asked everyone to stay home, by and large, the people of South Dakota did. And we saw that was immediately where those revenues and economic activity dropped off. One of the things we're hoping for is that of these phase 1, 2, 3, and potentially 4 bills that are moving through Congress, is that we have the ability to be held accountable to our budgets and to prove that we have budget holes that were directly tied to this virus, and the opportunity to use some of those funds for that need. Because today, the way the language is written, that's in question, and some clarity on that in phase 4 would be very helpful. Because we do not think we can utilize the funds that were included in phase 3 today for budget impacts.
Governor Mike Tanner at KWAT in Watertown.
Yep, go ahead, Mike.
Hi, I'm just wondering if you have heard any reports of price gouging being an issue in South Dakota at all?
You know, I think we hear a few reports here and there, but by and large, people have been good to each other and have been out there supplying the needs of people and families across our communities. So we hear reports, but that is not in the state's list of things that today has been a widespread issue that we're hearing about consistently.
And to follow up, I would assume, is it safe to say that with a special session coming up sometime this summer, you would need to appoint a replacement for Representative Glanzer prior to that?
No, that's going to be a little bit of a different process because of the calendar and time frame, and so we'll give some guidance on that in the future.
This is Kelly Hurt, Dakota.
Okay, Kelly, we'll take your question, and then we'll take a question in the room.
Okay, I was wondering, you look at the numbers from Beadle County, and they've been stable since that original surge. Would there be, and yet it's still considered to have significant community spread, would there be consideration at some point of reclassifying that after a certain period of time, reclassifying areas if they show a stability or a drop or something along those lines?
This is Kim Alsem-Rice, and I think the nature of community spread is such that we do not anticipate counties kind of going on the other end of the scale, and so I don't think we anticipate taking counties off of the map if they've already experienced community spread. We know that this disease is very contagious, and so we want to make sure that people don't let down their guard and that they continue to take the precautions that they need to. We think that there will be continued community spread in those counties.
What we do see in Beadle County is encouraging, though. It has been good to see those case numbers drop, people recover and do better. But we do know that we are a long ways out from having this battle over with in our state. Okay, question in the room. Yep.
Maybe off topic. Do you play golf, ma'am?
I don't play golf.
You don't? Okay.
No.
'Cause the golf course just opened, and I'm also doing a story on that, so I was going to ask if you do, or do you plan on visit? Does the first gentleman, does he play golf?
He does, but not well.
Oh.
He probably wouldn't appreciate me telling that, but he does play golf occasionally, but it's not his real skill set.
Without a batting cage, sometimes, you know.
He's very good at baseball, yes. Very good at baseball. But no, if our family gets the chance to be outdoors, we do enjoy sports, and we just would still encourage folks to be outside, enjoying getting exercise. It's good for your mental health. We've appreciated the warmer days and seeing folks outside with their families, and I would encourage more of that as the months continue through, because a balance to your life and spending time together, I think, will help everyone cope better with the situation that we're in.
Governor Noem, this is Morgan at the Rapid City Journal. Are you self-isolating, social distancing, and taking any precautions yourself? Have you yourself been tested for COVID at this time?
I have not been tested. I have felt good throughout this entire situation that we find ourselves in, and our family is practicing social distancing.
Okay, and I have a follow-up.
Sure.
Because your executive order is only for Minnehaha and Lincoln counties, are South Dakotans outside of Sioux Falls supposed to, I don't know, feel safer or more secure because the order isn't statewide and because there aren't more infections in Sioux Falls than other areas of the state?
Well, I have two executive orders. The one executive order is statewide, and it lays out directly how we should conduct social distancing following CDC guidelines, how businesses should conduct operations, and gives clear guidance to every individual that lives in this state. The second executive order deals specifically with Minnehaha and Lincoln counties and that vulnerable population. So those that are older than the age of 65 and have some pre-existing health conditions that cause them to be more susceptible to having higher levels of health care should they happen to catch the virus. So that specifically deals with those areas because of what we're seeing in those counties, and if that action is necessary in other counties, we certainly will take that appropriate action at the appropriate time.
Slightly off topic, but the two women who remain at large who escaped 2 weeks ago, do you have any update on the search for them?
Our officials and law enforcement are continuing that activity of an investigation to find those women.
Governor JP at KORN in Mitchell. How are you today?
Good, JP.
Good. And speaking of recoveries, can you give us an update on how Hazel is doing?
Hazel got her stitches out yesterday, so she is a happy dog and doing much better.